Hello, this is Stefan again from schristoph.online. Today we'll talk about my latest blog post, AI, moved into the database. SQL Server can now store vectors natively and column models straight from the database. Half of that is genuinely good. The other half revives an anti-pattern I have spent a career arguing against. I have spent most of a 25-year career taking logic out of databases, ripping business rules out of stored procedures, untangling the trigger that fired the trigger. So when I read that the database can now call a model directly, my reaction was the weary recognition of an old friend in new clothes. Let me be fair to the launch first. Two things shipped. A native vector data type with vector functions verified on the managed database, and a system-stored procedure that lets the engine call an external endpoint, including Amazon Bedrock and AWS Lambda without additional middleware. The model still runs in Bedrock. What moved into the data tier is the invocation, not the computation. The mistake in most of the coverage is treating this as one feature. It is two, and they land on opposite sides of the line I have defended for 2 decades. Those two halves deserve opposite reactions. You might ask, isn't storing vectors also logic in the database? No. A vector is data, the same category as a full text or spatial index. Storing and searching embeddings next to the source row is data tier work done well. Adopted, the line is behavior and outbound calls, not data types. So why does the database calling a model make it worse? The classic case still holds: poor testability, logic hidden from the application, tight coupling to the engine. But a model call adds new sins. A synchronous call inside an open transaction extends how long locks are held while you wait seconds on the model, and no middleware removes the natural home for retries, cost attribution, and your own policy checks. A fair rebuttal: what if I make the call asynchronous, fire and forget from the procedure? That is better on latency, but now you have built a queue and a worker inside your database, reinventing the application tier badly without its tooling. If you need async orchestration, that is exactly the application tier's job. I would be a zealot if I said never, so I won't. There are narrow cases where a database-initiated model call is the least bad option. A batch enrichment job where in-transaction latency is irrelevant. Or an analytics estate with no application tier where the database is the system. Even then, treat it as a deliberate, documented exception. So if you're running this on AWS, here's the pragmatic split. The managed database is strong and the vector support is a real reason to be on it. So do evaluate the native vector type for storing embeddings next to your relational data, but keep the model invocation in your application or a Lambda, where retries and cost attribution have a home. This is not an anti-cloud take, it is about placement. But doesn't keeping it in the application just move the latency, not remove it? It moves it out of the database transaction, so no logs are held, and into a tier built for variable, retriable network calls. You can complete the database transaction before calling the model. Same wall clock, very different blast radius. Everything here is verified against the docs. This is the launch announcement I checked, and the specific behavior and the vector functions are quoted from the managed database feature documentation and Microsoft's own dev blog. The capability is real. The question is only what you do with it. Thanks for listening. I hope this was helpful. If so, you can reach out on LinkedIn directly or head to my blog at schristoph.online. Let's keep in touch. Take care.